Hi, I'm Rick Dancer.
And I'm Doreen Curry.
We are at the Waterford Grand for this edition of Elders, Sages, and Fellow Travelers. Thanks for bringing us here.
You're welcome.
So you guys have everything here.
We do.
How many people?
Right now we've got over 120.
And there's
growing.
And growing a lot. There's a theater here, a beautiful kitchen. We're going to meet a chef. Yes, this is a residential community with its own chef. We'll also have other things going on tonight. We're going to meet the great-great-great-grandson of Eugene Skinner, the founder of Eugene. I know, he's really old. We had to prop him up. And we're going to take you to a cemetery in Brownsville where two women single-handedly fixed it up a few years ago. That's all coming up on Elders, Sages, and Fellow Travelers. Can we get this tour on the road? And I'm hungry. Let's go have lunch. I'm not dead. That sounds like something interesting. This is Doreen Curry here at the Waterford Grand. I love your house. You have the biggest house in Eugene, don't you? So show me around this. This is a one-bedroom suite. Show us around a little bit.
Okay, Rick, this is our one-bedroom apartment. We have one-bedroom units that have the kitchenette island. You can also get this same floor plan without this piece.
Okay.
Obviously, your living area here, your living room.
This is awesome. So do all of them have a deck?
They do. In assisted living, you can either have a river view or you can be on what we call the urban side. People come to assisted living because they have needs and they need some help with their daily activities of daily living. And we can provide that for them.
They also come because friendship.
Socialization, absolutely.
How important is that?
One of the very most important things that as we age and we start losing our friends and we don't work anymore, and so we isolate ourselves in our homes, we tend to not socialize like we used to, and that's a really important part of our lives. Let me tell you about dining here at the Waterford, Rick. We have an executive chef, Sean Wagner, who came from an extensive background in restaurant dining. And he put together for us a program here that is unlike anything you'll find in assisted living.
We're a scratch kitchen. Everything we make is from scratch. We really do not use processed foods.
It is based on fresh foods, local foods, made-to-order food.
And we're going to take some nice fresh burrata.
All of that is included in your monthly rent when you rent an apartment here in assisted living or memory care. We also have classes, educational classes through the Successful Aging Institute at Lane Community College. Wellness is a really big thing with swimming and exercise classes and exercise equipment. And of course we have our full-time wellness director, Don Beidel.
And coming up off the heels of your feet.
Oh yeah. We don't want to give up our independence, do we?
No, but we don't want you to give up your independence. We want you to remain as independent as you possibly can. We just want to assist on the peripheral. We just want to help you help yourself.
And once they get here, they probably wonder why they didn't do this years ago.
Exactly. We provide assistance to people that need it, and we provide secured memory care, but we do it in a way like nothing I've ever seen before. We do it in a way that is truly like living in your own home, living in the biggest, most beautiful home you've ever lived in. Socializing with the other residents is like a big family. And you become, and not to sound cliche-ish, but you really become part of this family when you arrive here, and it's no time at all.
Yeah, I discovered there are a lot of nice people here. There are a lot of nice people here. And these nice people become your family.
You start this process of getting to know each other and bonding with each other. It becomes a village. It's a true community. The Waterford Grand is a very special community.
I'm Rick Dancer. We're here with Donna Peterson, a gerontologist at New Horizons, and we're going to talk about the newest ism, ageism. And I like this because I think this isn't to be politically correct and all like things like that, but it's really to get people on the same page so we're not being offensive to folks who are older than us. So talk about ageism.
Ageism is a discriminatory, it's a subtle discriminatory action towards older individuals that treats them as if they're not very smart, they're not even there sometimes, and they're diseased and disabled.
Does this show up in terms of language? I know one word, we use elder in our show, but we don't use elderly. Elderly is a word that sounds demeaning.
The American Medical Association has promoted the thought and understanding that elderly is a discriminatory word, and we should be using elder or older person, and elderly actually looks at individuals as if they're diseased, disabled, and through the eyes of ageism.
Is it also an impatience with us sometimes when we're younger because we'll start with people and, because we're in such a fast-paced world that it's like, and we expect them to participate as quickly as we are, and slow down a little.
Sure. As people get older, they can learn just as much as a younger person, but because we're a little bit slower as we age, it takes a little bit longer. And so we live in this fast-paced world, and younger individuals have all this stimulation that they're used to working with when older individuals aren't as much, and so it takes them a little bit longer to process.
So we don't talk down to them or
Correct.
louder thinking that they're going to hear us better
Correct.
or anything. It's just treat them like you want to be treated.
Exactly. That's exactly it. As if they're just no different than yourself. Maybe they have a little bit more wisdom, maybe they've lived a little bit longer, but they can impart a lot of knowledge to those individuals that are younger.
Don, I find that with a lot of different groups of people, like people with different abilities, which some people call disabilities. When you slow down and take a little time to listen, it actually makes you a better person. I learn more that way than I ever do in my Rick Dancer move fast, get going, get it done attitude.
Exactly. And you treat people with dignity that way.
Got plans for the 4th of July? Come to Cresswell. Step back to what a 4th of July celebration used to look like. Start your day with breakfast in the park. Sit back and enjoy Cresswell's Independence Day Parade. Enjoy a variety of food and vendor booths. Tap your feet to live music. And wrap up your day with a free fireworks show at dusk. Celebrate your 4th of July with family and friends in the community of Cresswell. Hometown fun awaits all at Cresswell's annual 4th of July celebration. Here's what's happening at the Campbell Community Center in Eugene. A series of urban homesteading classes, one on preserving, the basics of preserving food, July the 11th, 6:45 to 8:45 p.m. Soap making on July the 18th, 6:45 to 8:45 p.m. And urban edibles, berries, flowers, and yes, weeds you can eat, July the 24th from 2 to 4. Then we have some fun events for you. The Coquille Tribal Salmon Bake at the Campbell Center. There's canoe races, native drummers, and dancing, and of course the salmon. That's September the 10th from 8 to 6. A progressive lunch. Eat your way through 5 senior centers in the area with lunch at every stop, September the 1st, 10 to 4. And a newcomer social at the Campbell Center, July the 22nd from 2 to 3. All are invited. Come and meet and find out what we do.
Consumers depend on their cars on a daily basis. One indicates that the battery is well above what it needs to do. My goal is for you to trust me to make sure that your car is dependable. 45 years ago, service was real. You had people with hearts and they were looking at your car and they were passionate. Then as the world grew, I think service kind of got lost. We want to build a relationship with you so that not only you bring your car to me, but that you want to buy a car from me later. My job is to build that relationship with trust. And the only way to do that is to be honest, first of all, but secondly, is to be thorough and make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure that you and your car get you from point A to point B.
So, Dorian, how many people live at the Waterford Grand?
Right now, Rick, there's about over 120, and we've been open since September of 2015.
And you're right here on the banks of the Willamette River, the same river that Eugene Skinner, the founder of Eugene, lived by. And we're going to watch a story right now on his great-great-great-grandson, a man named Ken Darling. Watch.
Wow.
Pretty great.
Pretty great. Darling, in fact.
I'm a pioneer to my own life. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
65-year-old Ken Darling looks a little out of place walking the streets of Eugene, Oregon.
And I've got a lot of help by having the heritage I do.
Actually, much of this town once belonged to his family.
My mother was a Skinner, her father was a Skinner, his father was a Skinner, and then Eugene Franklin Skinner.
Ken is the great-great-grandson of Eugene Franklin Skinner, founder of Eugene, Oregon.
Little tiny kid, you know, I mean, hearing from Grandpa all the stories, you know, that he had.
Ken grew up in Portland, but remembers visiting the Skinner family in Eugene as a little boy.
It's with me all the time, you know. And if you're standing in front of the library, probably every other day, you'll see me pass by the Jim Carpenter sculpture of my great-great-grandfather and positioning myself exactly the way my great-great-grandfather was. There is some resemblance, you know, for whatever it's worth.
Eugene Skinner settled along the river near the butte that bears his name in 1847.
How amazing, I'm sure people thought it was that, oh, the government's going to give me 640 acres. I have to stay on the land for 4 years. I have to be married, and I have to have a house. I walked this land. This is what 640 acres looks like, from south of 8th all the way to the river, including the butte. Grandpa, where's my piece of property?
Later, Eugene Skinner donated 40 acres to help create the county seat that became the town of Eugene City. Ken recently found his way back to Eugene, looking for the same thing his great-great-grandfather was looking for, a new start.
I got caught up in the crash, financial crash, so basically my career was gone.
Ken, like his great-great-grandfather Eugene, is not sure what the future might hold, but he thinks this may be the best place to start looking.
You know, I know struggle as well, and so it is exciting to study my family and see what kind of struggles they went through. Just shores me up to do what's necessary.
It makes you wonder, what would Eugene Skinner think of his little town today?
I have a feeling he would probably be pretty scared.
Only a few remnants of the time when Eugene Skinner was alive remain. There's his watch.
The first clerk's office, tiny building, and he was the clerk for the county. I've been up to the gravesite at the Masonic Cemetery.
History has a way of linking the present with the past, and maybe that's what Ken Darling is looking for, a connection.
To be shown something so touchable as far as a pioneer and what they had to go through, that it will say something to them and their lives. And, you know, well, if Eugene Franklin Skinner can do it, so can I. My name's Ken Darling, and Eugene Franklin Skinner was my great-great-grandfather. I feel like I'm home.
New Horizons in Home Care, we've been in business for actually 30 years, and we're the largest independent in-home care agency in the state. We serve medically fragile children all the way up to 100 plus. So it can be anything from, basic housekeeping all the way up to some type of medical need that person might have. All of our care managers that oversee the caregivers, CNAs, are nurses, and those nurses provide that oversight. We always have a nurse on call all weekend, all night. We are seeing the individuals that we serve as people who are active, who still have lots of life left. They're not someone that is thrown away.
And we're here with Sean Wagner, the chef. Yes, it's a chef at the Waterford Grand. We are so glad to meet you. So this is tell me a little bit about your history so people kind of know that you really you're a chef.
Well, I've worked in this community for a long time. My longest stint was at Cafe Xenon for 7 years. I've been a sous chef around many places, worked on Electric Station. I was the executive chef at Biaggi Steaks and Spirits. I worked up at the Lynn Community College as the assistant banquet chef there.
So
I've
you've
been
around.
all around. Yeah.
So this is really new. You're kind of on uncharted territory, bringing in a chef to a retirement community.
Yeah, it's not the direction I thought I'd ever go, but as of now, I'm very happy to be here.
So what do you guys do here? I mean, tell me why this is so different. This isn't like having regular food at a retirement community.
No, this is much different. We're a scratch kitchen. Everything we make is from scratch. We really do not use processed foods. We go around with fresh local ingredients. My meat is 12 miles away. We source from local farms around the area. It's just way different from the regular communities.
So what have you noticed with your community here in terms of their attitude about the food since it's changed to be this kind of a system?
Well, they're happy. They like to come in and eat. Other communities, it's not the same thing. That they go in there and it's this really poor quality food, processed, peel back foil, open up canned food. So when they come into the Waterford Grand, our restaurant's called the River's Edge Restaurant, and it's what it is. It's a restaurant. It's a restaurant style service out of here.
And what you've noticed then is now you have more than just your 120 some residents. You're getting family and friends, and you're becoming a destination point.
So busy. Yeah, the word has gotten out, and the families and residents are just tickled pink that they can come and actually come into a restaurant style atmosphere and have a great meal. Normally that's just not how it is in these communities.
Do you think that's also good because it kind of gets us familiar with the new kind of retirement community that's starting to kind of emerge out here in our area?
Yeah, BPM is really starting to set the tone for a higher quality senior living, and they've focused really hard on the food. They've given me the opportunity to start something new, and it's just been working really well for us.
I got an idea. You and I should start, what we should do is go to Dorian and come up with an idea and do a segment called What's Cooking at the Waterford Grand.
I like that.
I mean, we could get her to do it, don't you think?
I think so.
Okay, so the Waterford Grand, What's Cooking at the Waterford Grand, every month you just cook a different meal. We'll show these folks how it works.
Absolutely, I'm on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get the contract. We'll have to get Dorian to sign it when she's asleep.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Hey, Sean, thank you so much.
Thank you.
About a year ago, a lot of people in our community lost their hearing services. A big agency closed. You don't want to start over and you don't know where to turn. Grant's Hearing Centers will help you.
I love being able to help people hear better. Yeah, that's the big thing.
With your permission, Grant can access your files. Grant's Hearing Centers in Eugene and Cottage Grove.
We put the hearing aids on, turn them on, and then they can actually, it's just like the light switch comes on. They can hear so well.
Listening to you is our business. Call Grant's Hearing Center.
Is everything here grand? I mean, you have a grand building, you have a grand fountain behind us.
Well, of course, it's the Waterford Grand.
And a grand dining room. Okay, I'll tell you one place you can go that's grand, but it's off campus here. So it's Ranchito Grill in Springfield. And Abe and Ruben run this place, and every month Ranchito Grill and Rick Dancer TV give away 2 free dinners to somebody that goes in, signs their name, puts their phone number down, they do a drawing, and we give away 2 free dinners.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
It's just on the way to your brother's house. It's not that far.
Okay.
So we're going to put the name of the winner for this month right here on the screen. Well, it might be here, but it's around this direction. So get in there, sign up. You could win 2 free dinners at Ranchito Grill. I sound so bossy when I do that.
You do.
I like that about me.
There is 8 acres up here to mow. So we usually spend a full day every 2 weeks. So we put in about 16 hours up here a month.
Marlene Sloan and her sister Laurel Malash spend many of their weekends raking and mowing Brownsville's Pioneer Cemetery. When they first came up here last spring after Marlene's husband died, the grass grew as high as their shoulders. Back then, most of their time centered around caring for lot number 9, the spot where Laurel and Marlene's father and Marlene's husband are both buried. But the job grew.
I had so many people come to me and say, would you please mow my family's plot? And it got so that I know a lot of the people up here, and I couldn't turn them down. And I felt guilty because I couldn't get to all of them.
So they got the word out, and soon they were organizing others who cared. They even got a fancy name, the Brownsville Pioneer Cemetery Association. Now all the graves are tended. Sloan and Malash grew up in Brownsville.
Mrs. Blaine, she passed away here in, I believe it was April, and she would have been 101 in September. And I knew her as a little girl. I used to trick-or-treat her house. And she was really sweet, and she had snow white hair and bright blue eyes. And she made the best chocolate chip cookies in town. And Milt Elliott and his wife are buried here.
And the list goes on and on. People like Indian Liz, the last of the Calapooya tribe. She was 109. There's Eliza Spalding Warren, the first white child born this side of the Rocky Mountains who lived to reach maturity.
The people up here are people who are part of my past, and presently I do it because it makes me feel good, and to see somebody else that comes up here to visit a grave, and they don't have to look at a grave that looks like it's totally forgotten. And someday it will be in my future because I plan to be buried here.
She remembers the day she watched an elderly woman crying. When asked what was wrong, the lady said she could not find her sweetie's grave. With Marlene's help, she did.
And she said that in the 30 years she'd come up here, this was the first time it was ever mown. And she said, every Memorial Day I sit for weeks, depressed, knowing that I'm going to go up there and the grave's going to be covered with grass. But she said, I can't stay away. And she turned to me and tried to give me $5, and I wouldn't take it. And she gave me a big hug, and she said, thank you. And that was worth it all. Right there was to give someone else a chance to feel a little bit better about having to come up here. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot of happiness. There's a lot of sadness. They lived, they died, they laughed, they cried. They're just like us, but now they're gone and not forgotten though. It's just knowing that they existed, and a reminder that they're with us always. And so this is home, and always will be home. So, just a little crazy, I guess.
No, Marlene Sloan, that does not sound crazy at all.
There is always something going on at the River Road Park and Recreation District. There's a summer barbecue coming up on July the 13th. It's from 4 to 6. It's free. We just need you to bring a dish. We'll serve the hamburgers, the hot dogs, under shelter number 1. On July 25th, we have another barbecue. This is the Barbecue in the Park Blood Drive.
It goes from 11 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Then we have the giant garage sale. It's a fundraiser for the 55 Plus program. We need your household items, clothing, kitchen items, tools, art, etc. This will be at the River Road Annex at 1055 River Road. That's on September the 2nd from 9 to 4. And then the Heart of the South presentation. This is a trip to New Orleans and Lafayette. You're going to have a ball. This is a meeting to talk about that on the 6th of September. To find out more about what's going on at the River Road Park and Recreation District, just go to their website.
And we're here at the Waterford Grand with Ginger Newman and Evelyn Horner. And what's really funny is Ginger and her grandson and my sons are like really good friends who go to Europe together. And Evelyn, we found out, her grandson is a troublemaker on Facebook with me. So you guys started living here. Evelyn, when you first came here, what did you think of moving to a residential community?
What? It's kind of funny. I had questions, but you know, we looked at a lot of them. The minute we walked in that front door, it felt like home.
And you really love it here.
I do. And our oldest son had toured all of them. And when I called him and told him that I had made a reservation for a room here, he laughed and said, "Mom, that was #1 on my list." So,
what do you love about it? What is it in terms of community? Because you really are living in a community.
It's like a big family.
So Ginger, you came in, I'm so surprised, kicking and screaming, but you didn't want to leave your home.
No, I didn't want to leave my home, and I didn't want to get into a new environment. It just didn't appeal to me. And so,
what have you discovered?
I discovered there are a lot of nice people here. There are a lot of nice people here. And these nice people become your family.
So do you think if people in their elder years, if you stayed home, you almost isolate yourself?
You become isolated, and then you don't grow mentally or physically. You just die inside.
Do you think that you realize by living here how important friendships are?
Yeah,
yes.
It really is.
Is it also you're sitting here on the river where you can sit in your dining room
and our rooms also face the river.
Yeah.
So
exercise classes?
Yeah, exercise class is really important.
Do you ever have time to rest and just be an
you
elder?
do have to close your door.
If you're gonna have peace and quiet, you have to close your door.
You have to, otherwise our doors are open all the time.
Well, you two, thanks for talking to me, and I'll be sure and give your grandkids a really hard time.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
I will.
sure.
I promise. I honestly did not know it was so big. I did not know you had your own restaurant, exercise facility. That is really just it's a grand place.
Rick, I'm so glad you came.
Yeah, it was good seeing you.
Great to see you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
care.
All right.
Okay.
See you
bye-bye.
later. Now that is living the grand life. We'll see you next time on Elders, Sages, and Fellow Travelers.